Well, that was frustrating. Hello, guys. Mason the Brock Henderson here, and let's just jump right into it. Starting with the lineup. First of all, if you really, really wanted us to believe that we were going for this competition, show us. Because all the talk about this game was, oh yeah, we want trophies. We want to win this because it's a trophy. We want to put trophies in our trophy cabinet. And then the lineup comes out, and I'm just like, no, we don't care about this. We're focused on the game Sunday. I mean, you start Perez, Ambrose, Almiron, and then that's it. If you truly cared about this competition, you start Can and goal. That's the one switch you definitely should make because you want to give him some time, of course. Maybe play Robinson over Escobar or something like that. Maybe swap out either Michael or Jeff in the middle of it. Just give one of them a break for this game, and then probably Tito in for someone. Obviously, Romario has to play because Joseph's injured, but I mean, those are the only changes you really make. The rest of it should stay the same if you really are trying for this competition. So I'm guessing they weren't. So anyway, yeah, the lineup. I mean, it's a good lineup if you want to give players some time, I guess. But if not, then it's a crappy lineup. So like, I don't really know what to say about that. But as far as how the game went, they talked about it pretty well after the game on 92.9. Jason Longshore, for the most part, got it right. We did okay defensively. I do think there were more breakdowns than he was saying. He said, "Oh, except for that one goal, we were strong." No, there were some more times beyond that where Alec Can had to come up with some good saves, and those moments were not necessarily like these just crumbling apart like our defense is awful. No, our defense was okay for the most part. There were a couple defensive just kind of lapses where we got a little bit lucky. Either the finish just wasn't good enough or somebody coming up with a good block or save. However, I mean, the big thing was obviously our attack was awful. And it's because it was just, I mean, you look at it, you've got Romario up top, who he's done well in the few games that he's played recently, but he's had so much help. He's got Miguel and Ezekiel both behind him, feeding him balls. And on top of that, these were MLS games and away games too, where teams are more likely to push out on you. And he is more of a counterattack type of striker. He's got the speed to get him behind. So when you play in a game where you're the more possession based team, you're the one that has a lot of the possession and are trying to break them down, that's not his game. So this game was not built for him. And on top of that, I mean, he's got Brendan Vasquez on one side and Tito Villalba on the other. That's not exactly great help for him. So, you kind of look at it, this is not a good, strong attacking lineup. There are some moments, and there were some moments throughout the game where, yeah, things did look good for a second. We created a good passage of play, led to a cross that was a close chance, but for the most part, we just didn't have an answer because Chicago were ready to bunker in whenever we had possession, and we didn't have the players or the personnel out there to break them down. So let's talk about individuals. First of all, Alec Cannon goal. For me, he's maybe not man of the match. I would say he's very close, though. It would be between him and Perez because the two of them I thought had a really good game. He had to come up with some really good saves, especially in the first half. I mean, Chicago, they didn't have a whole lot of possession. They didn't have a lot of domination in the first half, but they created good chances from the little bit of possession they had, and Can had to come up with some good saves, and I thought he did well. And everybody's talking about, oh, he's doing really well. One of these new expansion sides coming in, they're going to want to get him because he has good experience. Here's my thing. Brad Guzan is, 33, something like that, 34 now? He's getting older. And we've seen there have been a couple games recently where his age has shown on a couple of, whether it's a bad save that he should have held on to, or whether it's a goal that he let up because he just wasn't quite athletic enough to get there. Not all the time. For the most part, he's still been very, very solid and very, very experienced. But in the next couple years, is he still going to be able to do it? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see what happens. But Alec can. I mean, he's like 26, I think, maybe 27. still be pretty young for a keeper. Why not hold on to him so when Guzan can't do it anymore, now can step into goal? And we have a keeper that has MLS experience and has done well. Now, if one of these expansion sides comes in with a great offer for him and you can make some money off of him, okay, that's fine. I don't mind making some money off of some transfers. But if they're coming in and it's not really a whole lot and it's just not going to be worth it to sell them off, hold on to him because he has definitely got the quality to step into that keeper position when Brad's not able to do it anymore. Um, into the defense, Mikey on the left side, first of all, in my opinion, I would say probably the most kind of of all the defenders, just because he didn't really do anything good or bad. He just kind of, he did his job well enough. He made some good defensive stops here and there, a couple times good runs, good passes, but didn't really do anything effective overall. It was just kind of what you expect him to do. It's the runs you expect him to make. It's the defensive stops you expect him to make. I will say I was impressed he won so many headers that he did because he is shorter. He won a lot of aerial duels, and I was impressed with that. But aside from that, just don't really remember much else that he brought to the field. Perez, for me, like I said, he and Can were the two that really just showed out tonight. He did have that one kind of lapse where, gets frustrated because the call doesn't go his way, yelling at the referee, takes the ball with him, wasting our own time, and then slams the ball to the ground and gets a yellow card for it. Those moments are why, overall, I still don't know if I trust him as a defender. Just because, while he has a lot of... Honestly, this game and the Charleston game, both of them are the games where he is the one that has to be solid. He is the kind of the leading force back there. Both of those games, he's done very well. He's focused, he's composed, he does very well defensively. But that moment right there where he slams the ball down and gets a yellow card for it, those moments are why, in my opinion, he'll never quite be good enough to be the top defender in the league. He'll definitely be up there. He's very good, but those moments, and honestly, when he doesn't have to be focused, when he has somebody behind him like Michael, and he doesn't have to be perfect, that's more what we see whenever we play in that formation where he's able to be a bit more free-flowing. We see more of those moments where he lapses of concentration, and it's just, he's gone. So, but overall, this game in particular, I thought looked very good, very solid again, and glad to see that he has that in him because there are going to be games where we need him to do that. And then Miles Robinson on the other side, my opinion, very solid. Not necessarily, I would say maybe a little bit more out of him than we saw out of Mikey. For the most part, though, he did his job. There were a couple times where he was a little bit weak in a challenge, let the ball get away from him, tackle he didn't really go in full force on. But I think part of that is just down to probably lack of confidence, lack of experience facing MLS opposition. He's been in a couple games, sure, but still, it doesn't quite prepare you when you only play every now and then. So, in my opinion, though, I think he was in good positions for most of the night. I thought he did well, especially being in a back two. That's a lot more difficult than what he's been doing, which is a part of that back three. When you've got somebody behind you that can cover for you, you can kind of, not really be perfect. So when you're in a back two, now you don't have anybody to cover for you, which means now you've got to step up your game. And in my opinion, I thought he did that tonight against MLS opposition as well. So, very impressed with him. And then we get to the weak link of the team, Sal Zizzo on the right side. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, what are you talking about? I didn't make any mistakes. Here's the thing. He didn't do anything tonight. I'm watching him, and every time the ball goes out to him, it's a back pass. He made like one or two positive runs throughout the entire night. And the sad part about that is we went down the right side a lot. And in the first half, I'm watching, pass out to Tito, drops back to Sal, and then all of a sudden we're back to our defense again. Ball goes out wide to Sal, takes a touch, cuts back, lays it back, and now we're going back across again. Just such a negative player. He's doing nothing. He's not taking chances. He's not... this is where I get really frustrated sometimes with the people sitting around me whenever I'm at these games, because a lot of them don't understand the game very well. A lot of them are just there because it's a fun experience, and that's fine, but they get frustrated with players like Romario and Tito tonight because they're making mistakes. You know, they're tripping over the ball, or they're trying something and it's not working out. Bad pass, bad touch. But they're trying something. So I can appreciate the effort. But when you look at a player like Sal, nobody's talking about him because he's not doing anything. He's not making any mistakes because he's not trying anything. Every single touch that he makes is, oh, touch, pass it back. Oh, you played me the ball? No, 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 pass it back. And we saw the same thing against Charleston. It's like he didn't want the ball. They pass it to him, he gives it right back. He's like, no, 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 take it back. I don't want to try to take this man on. I just want to pass it backwards. I'm not going to take a chance. I'm not going to do anything with it. And does he have the skill to do it? I don't know. I never saw him try. And that's the frustrating thing about it, is he doesn't do anything. Defensively, doesn't do anything either. Made one or two defensive challenges in the second half when they started coming at us a bit more. But aside from that, lost out on almost every aerial duel he went up for, where Mikey on the other side is winning most of his. You're letting one of our shortest players win his aerial duels while you on the other side are losing out pretty much every time. And then on the goal, I mean, just completely loses track of his man. And then after he loses track of his man, the ball goes inside. What's his reaction? Walking back. That's lazy. That is lazy. It's pathetic. And honestly, after tonight, I've not really been a fan of Gressel. Gressel has been kind of my player to go to whenever I'm frustrated. He's the one that I like to focus on and be like, why is he out there? You know, kind of critique what he's doing. After tonight, it's got to be Zizou. Like, if he makes the field again, I'm gonna have to look at Tata and say, what are you doing? Because these two performances against Charleston and tonight against Chicago were awful. There's nothing that he provides. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't help us at all. He doesn't hurt us. He's just a cone out there. Like, he is literally just a cone. And you want to look at why are we not really getting anything going in the attacking third? Part of it is because when our attack gets to him, when the ball gets around to him, the attack's pretty much done. Because it's so slow, and then he passes it back, and now all of a sudden we're back on our defense again. And that's not how you break a team down. And honestly, it should have been Gressel on for him in the second half. Like, that should have been the sub, because we needed somebody who's going to at least try something. And while Gressel is not always effective, he will at least try to take a man on and will sometimes send in a good cross. But instead, for some reason, they put him in the middle where he's completely ineffective, but we'll get to that. Into the midfield, though, we had Andrew Wheeler-Manu, Kevin Kratz, and Miguel Almiron. Wheeler-Manu, not bad. Not really anything special, though. Still, he looked okay against Charleston. There have been times where he looks pretty solid overall tonight. But, I don't know. I just don't really see that, yes, he is a player that we can use. You know, we're talking about getting a center defensive mid. I'm like, please, because right now what we've got is Jeff and Darlington, and that's pretty much it. And on that note, to Kevin Kratz, you know, he has been a pretty solid backup for the most part, but here's the thing. He's great at free kicks. If you put him outside the box, great at free kicks, fantastic at free kicks. What does he bring aside from that? Well, he brings a hard work ethic. You know, he's going to work hard in the midfield, put pressure on players, not let them have time to play. He is going to work hard there, but he's not great at defending, and he's also not great at distributing. He's not a very athletic player. So he's just, there are times where he kind of looks lost in there because he's not quite athletic enough to keep up with some of these players. And he is older, you know, he's 32, so yeah, you don't expect him to keep up with every player out there. But, you know, you've got Wheeler-Manu in there for your defensive work rate, which he did okay at times. Then you've got Kratz in there for more of your distribution. Neither of them are great at it, and so it really did break down the midfield quite a few times because we just couldn't really find that pass that a player like Darlington Nagbe would. And then there were times whenever we needed somebody to step in and stop a counterattack like Jeff would, and Andrew Wheeler-Manu's not doing it. So, I don't know. Our midfield definitely looked weaker. As far as Miguel is concerned, you know, Didn't really seem as mobile tonight. Didn't really seem like he was as effective. Part of it was down to the fact that his options were limited up top, but he definitely did not seem at his 100% best. And I think the confidence for him has been wavering a little bit. He had a couple shots that he just completely mishit. I think there are times when players that are some of the best players in the world, they can kind of get into a rut. And you can start to see that the passes aren't quite coming off, the shots are mishit most of the time. I think Miguel's in one of those ruts right now. So I'm hoping there will be a game soon where all of a sudden it clicks again. He starts to find those passes again. His shots start flying in again, because we're gonna need him to start doing that if we want to keep where we are in the table for the MLS. And then as far as the front three are concerned, Brandon Vasquez, he's not ready. And I was wondering, he's done pretty well occasionally for the USL team, from what I've heard. I haven't really gotten a chance to watch them. I know he's coming back from injury, and he did okay at times against Charleston. He worked very hard, but tonight definitely showed he's just not there. Not fast enough to keep up with the players. The passes that he was trying to work just weren't good enough. The touches on the ball were too long, and he lost possession quite a few times. So, I don't know. I mean, he works hard, but he's just not, the quality's not there. So it's just unfortunate. Maybe he'll grow. He's still young, so he has a chance to, but for right now, he's definitely not what we need. Tito on the other side, not a good night from him. Didn't really feel like he was very effective. There were times where he did look dangerous, but the final ball just wasn't there for him tonight. The shots were either deflected or right at the keeper. The passes he's trying to work in are either too close to the keeper or right at a defender. It just didn't feel like anything that he was doing was coming off. And it's kind of frustrating when you see a player like that and you see he is dangerous. He's getting in behind the defense. He's causing the problems. But then nothing he does in that box works. It's just kind of like, well, then what was the point of what you did? So he ended up getting man of the match. I guess people just saw how many times he got in behind the defense and neglected the fact that he didn't do anything with those chances, maybe. But I don't know. I'm glad he is back to full fitness again and he's able to play again, because we will need him in future games, especially because, the combination tonight wasn't there for him. But, yeah, that's just my opinion. And then Romario up top, like I said earlier about, comparing him with Sal, he does try a lot of stuff. He was working hard. I saw the effort that he put in. One of my favorite things I think about him is how he'll work back to try to win the ball back. Put pressure on the defense, not allow them to sort of just goof around back there. He does make sure to keep them honest, but on the ball we need him to improve. Because you've got Joseph, who's just banging in goals left and right, and then he goes out there and he hardly gets a sniff of a chance tonight. Part of that is down to the distribution, but you've also got to try to fashion a chance for yourself as well. Especially when you are a big striker. He's big, he's strong. He should be able to try to at least work himself a chance, and I can't think of one moment where he did that. So, while I will give him credit for the fact that there wasn't a lot of help for him out there, I still also have to say, as a striker, you've got to try to work your own chances sometimes. You've got to be able to use your strength to bully the defender off and get a chance for yourself. So it's kind of a little bit of a double-edged sword there for him. And as far as the subs that came on, Barker coming on for Vasquez should have probably happened at halftime, honestly. So the fact that he waited until the first goal or the only goal for Chicago was a little bit frustrating. But I completely agreed with that. Gressel coming on for Kratz, like I said, it should have been for Zizou, just because at that point we needed somebody else out there for him. We needed him to come off because he wasn't doing anything. But he came on for Kratz, and like I said, he's not a midfielder. He doesn't have the quality to be a distributor in there. Don't get me wrong, can he hit a pass? Yeah, from time to time he can, and there were a couple times he does that, but when you got somebody putting pressure on him in the midfield, he's so ineffective. He gets the ball with his back facing their goal. If there's a player behind him, he's going to lose it because he doesn't have the awareness. Darlington Nagbe, great spatial awareness. Somebody comes up from behind him, you can bet He's going to know, and he's going to get him turned, and he's going to find a pass. Gressel doesn't have that, and it shows. So the fact that he keeps trying to put him in the midfield, I don't know why. It's not working. I can see it's not working. Maybe they're just like, oh, no. Did you see that one pass? That's what he... No. His best moments, honestly, are when he kind of drifts out wide because that's where he needs to be. But yeah, so both Ezekiel and Julian, neither of them really brought much. There was kind of a little bit of a spark when Ezekiel came on just because he has that kind of little bit of a flash, that acceleration. But it was pretty much quickly snuffed out because they just started putting in challenges on him, and he goes down pretty easy from time to time. The referee tonight was not having any of that. He really let play go on. There should have been a yellow for Schweinsteiger. That was something that kind of is frustrating because you don't often see the big stars like Schweinsteiger, David Villa. Zlatan, I think, has been carded a few times. But you don't see challenges like that go booked for the big-name stars. And that was one that definitely should have been. He tried to stop a counterattack, didn't work. You come back and card him for it. But yeah, I mean, Barco is a player that he's very clever. He can work himself into space, but if the movement isn't there up top, it's not going to be great. And at the time he came in, you could just see that Chicago had packed it in, and there wasn't a lot of space for people to run into. So at that point, he's kind of rendered ineffective. And then the last sub was Andrew Carlton came on for like the last 3 minutes plus the 4 for stoppage time. I guess just give him a chance to kind of run his legs out, see if he can do anything. It felt like more of we just want to give our youngster a chance to play, and this is the Open Cup, and we're already pretty much done anyway, so why not give him a chance? Instead of let's bring him on to see if he can do something. I'm sure a lot of people were thinking that, like, oh yeah, let's bring him on. I'm sure he can. I'm sorry, he's not that player. He's not the player you bring on to do something. If you really wanted to do that, probably should have been like Escobar or something along those lines. I don't remember who else we had on the bench. But yeah, he's not. He is a more attacking player, so I guess that was the thought, is just bring on another attacking player. But yeah, he's just the quality. He has quality, but he doesn't have MLS quality, so he's not going to be able to beat all those players and take them on. So, whatever the case, we're out, and it's frustrating. So, hopefully on Sunday we take it to Portland, we beat them, and we show, okay, this is why we rested all of our starters on Wednesday. Here's why. But I think the main frustration for me is not the fact that we're out, it's another loss at home. And even though it is a second team, losing at home is not something we want to do. It's something where we should take pride in playing at home. We should take pride in this awesome stadium. And instead it's turning into losses and boring performances. And that's not what we want to see. And I don't think it's what the coaching staff or the players want to see. But it's happening. So Portland needs to be a game where we step up and we sort of take control again. We say, this is our house. You're not going to come here and get anything out of it. And just really take the game to them and punish them. So whatever the case, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on the game tonight? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future United reviews. I'll see you guys in the next game. Peace out.